Chapter 16. Okay, here we go. Chapter 16, The Imbalance. The next morning, I woke up to Aunt Jerry shouting loudly in my ear, "Get up! Your lives are in danger!" "What? What?" Belinda and I screamed, jumping to our feet. "You heard me. Your lives are in danger. Now get outside, quick!" Belinda and I, quite frightened, ran out the door of the palace. I hadn't gone outside the palace for weeks. I forgot what it looked like outside. But instead of feeling the warm, soothing morning air, I felt all cold and worried. "You see that thing over there?" I looked and saw way off in the distance a giant ball of thick black smoke. I looked around to see the tiniest sliver of light, to see that it was balanced, like everything else, but I didn't. Whatever this thing was, it wasn't good. It was all dark, not both light and dark. I had never encountered something like this, except for the humans, but they were neither light nor dark. That thing is the reason why I've been rushing you guys to learn so much so quickly. That thing is the reason why the Dragon World isn't safe. "Wait, the Dragon World isn't safe?" I said. "Oh, right, I didn't tell you. Well, this thing is all dark, as you might have noticed, and it's been sucking out all the light from the Dragon World, so it's not balanced anymore. And if something's not balanced, even if it's just light that is left, nothing can survive." I looked back at the imbalance. It was coming nearer and nearer very, very quickly. My heart started racing. Then Aunt Jerry said, "You two are about to experience something very scary and at a very young age, but you must stay strong and remember that all of this training was for something much bigger. In training, you can make a mistake and then just try again. But here, outside of the palace, you have to get it right." I gulped. I was nervous now. The next thing I knew, the imbalance had doubled in speed and was right in front of the palace. Run inside. You'll be safe there," Aunt Jerry said. "I'll hold it off." Belinda and I ran and went to the nearest room, which was the dining room. I sat there for about 10 minutes, worrying about Aunt Jerry, until suddenly I saw an enormous black arm, the arm of the imbalance, starting to punch through the window. But before the glass could shatter, I jumped to my feet. I was not going to let our precious palace get destroyed. Then, without noticing it, I was all magic. I did the incredible air slice, pushing the glass back into its frame. I was surprised. I expected the glass to go through the window pane, the other way and hit the imbalance like a weapon. But instead, the glass put itself back together in the pane, like it was taking back time. But that strong imbalance didn't fall back. It kept hitting the glass over and over again. And I kept bringing it back into the pane, but I couldn't hold on forever. One blow was empowering, but many others got too tiring to bear. Soon I felt myself falling to the ground from exhaustion. Then I heard Belinda scream, "Duck!" for I had backed off, and the imbalance had punched through the window, shattering the glass through the room. I rolled over to the corner of the room, luckily not getting hit by any glass. Then I heard Aunt Jerry screaming something from the other room. I couldn't quite tell what it was, so Belinda and I ran out of the room to find where he was. When we got outside the door, we saw Aunt Jerry fighting back the blasts from the other windows with the same air slice. "Go to the training room. You'll be safe there," Aunt Jerry screamed. "Why the training room?" Belinda shouted back. "Because I put an invisibility spell on it, just to be safe. The imbalance won't hit the room." Belinda and I ran to the training room and hid behind the giant mushrooms. It was so loud from the blast in the other room, I wondered if Aunt Jerry was all right. It was strange, everything being so loud and dramatic, yet quiet in this room. Then, suddenly, to my surprise, the quiet ended as a giant fist of the imbalance punched through the window. "How could it be?" I screamed. "What about the invisibility spell?" "I don't know, but we better run," Belinda screamed. We ran to the nearest room, the magic archery room. Though not exactly a safe place to be, it was the only room that hadn't been completely destroyed. destroyed. Suddenly, as I expected, the imbalance punched through one of the giant windows. As glass shattered, Belinda went to the right, underneath the second window, which was not a good choice, while I went to the left, away from both windows. Suddenly, the imbalance punched through the second window, but that wasn't enough for it, and it grabbed Belinda and pulled her through the window. I heard her shrill scream, "Belinda!" I shouted, tears running down my face. I didn't have a moment to waste. I ran out of the palace to confront the imbalance and get back my sister. When I got outside, I saw the imbalance hitting her against the palace and the nearest trees, like he was trying to shake all of the light and magic out of her. I couldn't distract the imbalance, I knew that for sure, and definitely couldn't climb up it. I had to use my power of teleporting. I was going to teleport onto his hand, onto his arm, and get Belinda back down here. I easily thought teleport and thought the imbalance's arm, and suddenly I was spinning and then landed on something oozing. It seemed like my legs were sinking into the imbalance's arm, and I felt colder than anything. Like I might as well just give up my life and fall into the imbalance. And I almost did, but then remembered why I was here. I was going to save Belinda. I pulled my legs out of the imbalance, but then they kept getting sucked back in. But I was strong. Soon the imbalance noticed me and started swatting his arm, trying to grab me as well. It was unbelievably hard. Determination and love were the only things that led me through it. My legs were getting sucked down faster and faster into the imbalance with every step I took. Plus, his arm was still moving like crazy, banging Belinda against things. I rolled to the side to avoid another attack, but soon after noticed that wasn't a very good idea, for now I was sinking into the imbalance by my back like a beetle that can't get up. This time it would be a lot harder to get out. I rolled and rolled, I kicked and kicked, I pulled and pulled, trying to get myself off of my back in any way. I was sinking quicker and quicker, and soon just the tip of my foot wasn't stuck in. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't feel anything. I had no emotion. I was blank, soulless. I watched as the last small silver of light went down to nothing. It was over. Suddenly, I felt my heart rise in my chest. My magic, my soul boomed back into me. The strength of it pulled me up out of the imbalance. I was being enlightened, and then it stopped. I gave myself help, just as much help as I needed. I had no more time for sinking. I had no more time for trouble. I ran down his arm quicker than I'd ever run before, so quick that I didn't have time to sink. I finally got to Belinda. Though I couldn't stop there, I had to keep running really fast in place so I didn't sink. Poor Belinda was screaming. She had been very injured. "Take my hand! I'll teleport us out of here!" I screamed. To my surprise, Belinda wasn't stuck. She reached for my hand, but then the imbalance threw her at the palace, and she bounced back like a bouncy ball. I couldn't tell how much pain she was in now. I couldn't tell how much pain she was in now. I couldn't bear it. I felt the same pain too, emotionally. We grabbed each other's hands, but they kept slipping. Our hands were so sweaty. Finally, we were able to grab on long enough for me to teleport, and we found ourselves at the foot of the imbalance. The imbalance seemed to be confused about where we were and started searching for us along his body. It gave me just enough time to make sure that Belinda was okay. She was screaming in pain. I had her sit down. Both of her legs had enormous scratches on them, going very deep into her skin. It seemed that if they were any deeper, they would go all the way to the bone. "I think both of my arms are broken," I said. I looked at them. She tried to move them both, but couldn't, crying in pain. I looked over and saw Aunt Shuri inside the palace, who seemed to be battling against the What? I thought, but then noticed that the imbalance must have put some sort of enchantment on the palace that was making it slowly crumble, and Anjuri was fighting against it, putting it back together over and over again, sort of like I did when the imbalance was breaking the glass. Anjuri shouted, "Go! Run to the forest! Go! Run to the forest! You'll be safe there! I'll hold him off!" "But what about you?" I screamed. "I don't want you to die! Don't worry about me! Now, go!" He shouted back. It was hard to leave my master in a perilous situation, but I had to do it for Belinda and my life. I started to run back, but then decided that wasn't fast enough and teleported us to the forest. We hid behind a tree. Everything was so silent. I supposed the imbalance was still busy battling Anjuri, but then I felt cold throughout me. I looked behind the tree and saw the imbalance coming nearer and nearer. I was worried for me and Belinda, but even more worried for Anjuri. If the imbalance was coming for us, what if he had finished Anjuri?